What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you are doing well. In light of the recent news about Bittensor TAO, I'd like to ask the community or the TAO holders, have you heard any treasury company that holds Bittensor TAO? That could be your key in understanding what you need to do with your TAO in the long term. So pay attention, because a lot of people are doing such a poor job in explaining the current situation. And what do I mean by that? People have lack of understanding of, first of all, the largest TAO holder in the space, and that is Grayscale. Now, Grayscale is going to be quite key, but if I ask anyone what their share price is for Bittensor TAO, nobody knows that. And this is going to be quite key because they've just refiled for their S1 ETF with the SEC. So Grayscale haven't panicked, but there are also equally other big players that you probably know, some major funds, crypto VCs and others that are all involved. So today I'm going to try and educate you why you should be paying attention to really what's going on with the kind of the share prices of Grayscale and others. So smash a like. This is a different video from the usual rubbish that you get from X and mostly from YouTube, because they'll just regurgitate what's going on in the news and say that Covenant AI has left TAO and they rugged. That's absolute BS. Okay, not BS that it happened, but BS in terms of what the overall impact that somebody who wants to invest is looking for. So what we're seeing here is Thursday's high. Okay, so the 9th, the day before the news, the price was at 920. And then it dropped 12.55%, and the NAV share or NAV per share was $5.08 currently, and at that time it was $6.45. Now this is quite key because the inception of the GTAO or the Grayscale TAO was all the way back in June 2024. Okay, so outstanding shares currently are around 2,085,000 shares, and the Bittensor Grayscale Trust or the Grayscale Bittensor Trust is one of the first investment vehicles offering exposure to decentralized AI. It trades on the OTC market under the ticker GTAO. So we can see that it's dropped, but it has not capitulated. It has not completely gone to bits and pieces. The news may still come. In my opinion, what is largely going to be the most significant factor here is the filing for their first ETF or the amendment for the S1. Now, they've done that on the 4th of April, okay? And that was about a good week and a half before the debacle came about all of the Covenant AI and what's going on. But this is more important. Have you heard of a company called xTAO? Now, xTAO holds over 40,000 Bittensor TAO. Okay, and despite the fact that obviously Covenant dumped the 10 million, and of course we'll go through the accusation versus the rebuttals of what's going on, but there are very important companies that are holding TAO and that are basically funds for TAO. So let's look at some of these, because I think it's going to be quite important to see if they are going to dump or hold and what goes on. And in my opinion, TAO does have a very solid foundation when it comes to dynamic TAO, stake TAO, of course, which is going to be vital, as well as these other funds. So the first of which is xTAO, connecting Bittensor to the future of AI and traditional finance. Now, this company is currently sitting on around 41 to 42,000 TAO, worth around $15 million. And at pre-cash prices, the funding round here was around 22.8 million, and it came from Digital Currency Group, of course, and Animoca Brands, big institutional names. They still remain, just like Grayscale. Nobody has said anything. Then there's TAO Synergies. TAO Synergies with the ticker box TAOX. They hold 42,011 TAO, valued around $18.2 million. With an $11 million raise from investors. Again, they include DCG and a few others as well in the mix. Then there's, of course, Oblong, and they are also Polychain Capital is there as well, supporting TAO through various investments, as well as, of course, Yuma and others. You get the point. General Tensor also put in $5 million. So all of this remains pretty much intact. You know, this is the various funds have all stood so far, and I don't see any reasons as to why they will change their overall strategy, because a subnet has rugged from a $10 and some change to $9.20. This is a very key indicator for me that gives me reassurance as to what people should be talking about, because the shares here should capitulate if the price of TAO is basically, or if the rug is more systematic in terms of what it is. It has found a little bit of what I consider to be nice little breaks. We need to get above 275 short term, but if you look at the weekly, we're extremely oversold, and I do expect a nice little bounce back towards the 220 to about the 200 range. That would be a fantastic buy. In my opinion, that would be a place where you can actually DCA. Now, overall, the macro is going to be governed by what Bitcoin does. And we need to also wait for the SEC's reaction. But there is no wider issues with Bittensor TAO. Of course, this S1 amendment is going to be quite crucial as to what happens in the short term. But in the long term, what we have is the doubling of the subnets by 100%, from 125 currently to 250 subnets. Anybody who knows about TAO understands the subnets are basically the way to go. And there has been a level of recovery here that we're just not going to waste too much time on. But whenever subnet like a Covenant AI leaves or any other subnet, there is always a replacement ready to hand. So if we look at some of the what this means, a stress test for decentralized AI, separating signal from noise, and looking at the Bittensor ecosystem, dynamic TAO's mainnet, which is active, current subnet's 125, and of course, we need to actually go and see if TAO will recover and how we go from here. So here's what I suggest. If you are being absolutely fair to your overall understanding of the ecosystem, because at the end of the day, a lot of people are putting misinformation out there saying that we are doomed and this is the end, that it's not fully. Everybody knew it wasn't fully decentralized, because obviously the holder balance and all of that, you know, this is not Bitcoin. It is the Bitcoin of AI, but these days will pass. So the promise and the crisis, of course, and what I call the anti-fragile network, what you still have in TAO is a lot of institutional capital, as I just explained, the various funds that are still all within their rights to be holding their TAO bags. Okay, we haven't seen a major shift or a major catalyst for that to change. What we are seeing, though, is bear market opportunities. And the subnets or the alpha tokens, they continue to, obviously, some new micro caps have done really, really well. Overall, after such a news, you would expect some kind of a a headwind, and that's what we've seen. But emissions are continuing. Alpha tokens price determined TAO's emissions. So I just can't understand how, when we come to the allegations, I just can't understand how the founder was able to be accused of such things, knowing that the environment itself is 100% quite autonomous. So for me, my future prediction of TAO is institutional wall, or the support of that institutional wall will determine how successful TAO is from here. Due to the psychology of the price, you're not just going to have a rush of retail coming in because they don't understand the value of the network. But what you will need is the institutional money to keep pushing the narrative, and nothing else. Retail will come in, but this is a institutional wall, and Grayscale leads that because they have obviously boosted their overall holding to 43%. They filed an S1 amendment for their spot ETF conversion. OBLG or Oblong, 8 million Treasury pivot. TAO Synergies, 11 million private financing, largest public holder, 42,000. Then you've got the likes of Yuma. We talked about Polychain and others. This is where the big funds make their money, and make no mistake, if there is continued FUD, which I don't see the reasons why. It's just people don't understand even the difference between the TAO price shares. Go to YouTube, put Bittensor TAO crisis, and you will see numpties making videos about stuff that they don't really understand. And I'm telling you now, the institutional wall or following the money, if these guys leave, then I have a problem. But for now, I haven't seen a single sign as to why these guys will leave. I think it will be more with the subnets going from 125 to 250. I think there's going to be a massive opportunity there. So Covenant, yeah, of course, they've proven that training 72 billion parameters was possible on TAO. Thank you very much. The exit, Sam Dare, Covenant founder, he shot the bed. Maybe he needed the money, in my opinion. And listen, this is crypto, man. I'm not calling anyone out here. If you are shady, things will come to you. But regardless, he's not the first guy to rug a project, and he won't be the last. But that's his own project, right? The dumping of that TAO, $10 million, probably life-changing money for him. I'm not condoning that, by the way. But what I'm saying is TAO is way bigger than that. The allegations versus the rebuttals. This is actually absolutely hilarious. I put together this slide and I was laughing. So the co-founder said, the Covenant said, founder runs the network from one keyboard. TAO came back with a rebuttal. Covenant subnets run 100% burn code, creating artificial supply and demand. In terms of inference, unilateral suspension of emission to Covenant subnets. The rebuttal, action check. Founder has started, a founder has a standard user buy, write, sell, cannot technically be suspended from emissions. Censorship, removal of moderation rights over their own community channels. The math, this is the rebuttal from Bittensor. Founder sold 200 TAO. Of course, compared to Covenant's dumping of 37,000 TAO. Manipulation. On the Covenant side, they accuse economic pressure via targeted token sales. Context, TAO moderation rights altered because Covenant was deleting critical community posts. So overall, what I'm seeing here is that 20% decline from 340. Listen, TAO did have a technical resistance at 377 anyway to kind of fall back. Came back to 260s. For selling around 9 million leveraged longs liquidated. Technical threshold breaking the 200-day moving average at 281.6. That's why I'm excited. You may get good opportunities. The floor temporary support 61% or 618 Fibonacci retrace, 250, 260. Why do you want to be picky? The sell-off was a severe governance credibility shock amplified by derivative unwinding. But hey, is it really the tech that's responsible for this? It looks like there was friction behind the scenes. And of course, in the long term, I think this will be brilliant for TAO. I think this will be anti-fragility and, of course, the systemic resilience that you need in terms of the shock. 10 million dump versus the ecosystem, 712 million combined market cap, top 10 remaining subnets. Of course, infrastructure and staking and 125 active subnets that will no doubt shoot up to 250 in the coming months. So, dynamic TAO is still intact. Templar is gone. Their alpha tokens are sold. Then that went into the liquidity pool from the failing subnets. You know what's going on. Redistribution capital flows back into TAO, and their position will be taken. So in my opinion, alpha ecosystem, you still have Shoots, Targon, Affine, and others there. I think it's going to be quite, it's a great time to really look at these. Serverless AI inference is huge. 9.1 trillion tokens processed, 85% cheaper than AWS. And the market standing, 132 million market cap, protocol level, auto staking, buybacks. Then you have, Targon is an interesting one. Confidential compute, of course, and $91 million market cap. You can go through all of these, but in my opinion, is it financial conviction versus network FUD entities, in the NASDAQ? The strategy transition from a biotech to a Bittensor focused treasury. Incredible. Capital deployment. There's so many things we can talk about, but in my opinion, it's going to be an interesting year for Bittensor TAO. But after all, I'm not holding TAO for one FUD or a subnet that just leaves. I'm holding TAO well into the future and for decentralized computing and those that believe in open source AI on the blockchain. Let me know what you think. Smash a like, of course, as always. I really appreciate you being here. And until next time, subscribe to the channel because, again, our research is top-notch. We're not like these clowns that come out and say, regurgitating, 37,000 tokens gone. No, it's nothing to do with that. This is an opportunity of a lifetime. I think that's what TAO's creating. Take care. I'll catch you on the next one.